Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea. What if you could kind of borrow the clarity you'd have in your final moments and use it to guide how you live your life right now? Let's break down how this one perspective shift could honestly change everything.
Okay, let's just get right to the heart of it, shall we? This is the central question for this whole explainer. I want you to really imagine it. You're looking back on your entire life, from the very end. What would that version of you, the one with perfect 20/20 hindsight, say? What would they wish you had done more of, or maybe less of? Just hold on to that thought. You know, sooner or later, we all face this final reflection. And the source material we're digging into today makes a really interesting point. It suggests that in this moment, we don't size up our lives by our job titles or the stuff we owned. Nope, we measure it by meaning.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds a little morbid, right? But it's actually the complete opposite. This isn't about fear. Accepting this reality is an incredible tool for focus. It works like a filter, sharpening our view of what's truly essential and what's just, well, noise. So how do we find that focus? Well, it really starts by understanding the difference between what truly matters and all the distractions of daily life. Because once we start looking at our lives through the lens of that final reflection, a very, very different picture starts to emerge.
And wow, when you see it laid out like this, the difference is just stark, isn't it? On one side, you've got the noise, things like job titles, possessions, that constant nagging pressure to impress other people. And on the other side, the meaning. You're talking about timeless qualities like courage, real connection with others, and just simple, honest joy. It's a pretty powerful guidepost.
And this quote from our source material it just nails it. Thinking this way peels away all those superficial layers we build up. It quiets the outside expectations, the feeling that you have to perform for some kind of audience, and what's left when all of that is gone? Well, that's your authentic self. That's what your heart truly wants.
So this all sounds good in theory, but what does it look like in real life? What are the things people actually regret? Well, the source distills this wisdom down into 5 really common themes. It calls them echoes from the future, basically messages sent back to us from people who've already had that final reflection.
And here it is, the number one regret, the most common echo of them all. Just take a second and feel the weight of that sentence. It's this deep, profound longing for authenticity, for a life that was lived on your own terms, not from a script someone else handed you.
Now, seeing these 5 regrets all laid out like this, it might feel a little heavy, but that's not the point at all. Our source is really clear about this. These aren't just sad stories. They're actually 2 things at once. They're warnings about the paths we might be on, sure, but more importantly, they are invitations to choose a different path, starting today.
And that is the big twist. This is where we flip the script. We can take every single one of these regrets and reframe them. Suddenly, they stop being these scary warnings about some future sorrow, and they become active, positive invitations for how to live your life right now.
And this little chart illustrates that shift perfectly. Regret is passive, right? It's looking backwards, it's stuck in the past. But an invitation? That's active. It's a call to action. It's about creating a better present and a better future. It's that simple but powerful shift from thinking, I wish I had, to deciding, I will.
So, invitation number 1 is this. Honor your own values, your dreams, your inner voice. This is the direct antidote to that number 1 regret we talked about. It's about finding the courage to choose your own path, even if it disappoints other people, or even if they just don't get it.
All right, next up, this invitation to be emotionally honest. How often do we just swallow what we really feel? To keep the peace or to avoid feeling vulnerable. This is an invitation to speak your truth, to say the I love you, the I'm sorry, or even just the hey, this is really important to me.
Okay, this one hits home for a lot of us, right? It seems so simple, but it's one of the first things to go when life gets busy. This is an invitation to prioritize connection. It's about making that call, sending that text, actually showing up for the people who matter. Because at the end of the day, those relationships are what really hold us up.
And finally, there's this powerful invitation. So many people realize, way too late, that happiness wasn't some destination you arrived at after you achieved the next thing. It was always a choice. It was a state of being you could have cultivated in any given moment. This is an invitation to give yourself permission to feel joy, right here and right now. So what's the end game here? What does a life well lived even look like through this lens? Well, the source offers this beautiful definition.
It's not about winning or having the longest list of accomplishments. It's about being able to look back and see a coherent story, a thread of purpose that you wove yourself, a life that was authentically yours.
Okay, so let's reel all of this back in. Back to you, right here, right now. The whole point of this mental exercise isn't to wait for the end. It's to use this wisdom as a compass for today, so that your own reflection, whenever it comes, is a gentle one.
Seriously, if there's one single sentence you take away from this entire explainer, let it be this one. This is the core thesis, distilled into a simple, powerful command. Let that future, wiser version of yourself be your guide for the choices you're making today. Because that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To live in a way that when you do look back, you feel a sense of peace, a sense of completeness, to feel gratitude for what was, instead of that painful, heavy longing for what could have been.
And that's where we're going to leave it. If you use these invitations as your guide to build a life of courage, expression, connection, and joy, what kind of story will you have to tell? When the time comes, what will you see?